There's like a slight tension in my chest, which is like, oh, what's that saying to me? That's a question I might ask. So I've got a bodily sensation, and if I just like, there's this weird move, which is like ask that sensation what's happening. There's just something about being on camera that is shifting, like creating a little bit of tension. There's like a slight lack of like naturalness, and it feels like, oh, how is it to like explore being me in front of the camera? Well, it shifts something about how I'm showing up. In this video, we're going to cover what is authentic relating, why it's so unbelievably powerful and has been for me over the last few years in really transforming my ability to have deeper, more connective friendships and work through conflict and heal broken relationships and build deeper relationships, and how you can go about finding it and practicing it. Oh man, Brad on the camera, you've not been to the Boulder Garden. Let's head to the Boulder Garden so we can stand atop the large geolithic, what's the word for a rock? Geographical, no. Geological. So we can stand atop the geological monoliths that are the boulders of the Boulder Garden. Let's go.
Asked me to come over.
Me?
Yeah.
Over there?
No. Maybe like, you want to like be like, come on over.
I'll come over here. Yeah. Authentic relating is a approach to connection, facilitated connection in a workshop setting that can carry through into our lives. There are hundreds of different activities which focus on different elements of how we connect to one another. Come over, come on in. Let's have a little connection activity, see how we find it. I think authentic relating is like, it's a set of games, but it's also a set of principles about noticing what's real and what's happening in the moment, welcoming whatever is, and like that doesn't mean like accepting, for example, pain and difficult emotions, but really just welcoming that it's true and it's there, like being aware of your experience, not having assumptions about each other, but rather following curiosity, questioning stories that we have. Oh, you are sad right now. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm just a story. That's just a story I have, and so maybe I want to find out more about like what is it that I'm thinking, and is it really true? Revealing more about ourselves in a way that feels comfortable. Still noticing boundaries where we don't want to openly explore and give too much vulnerability. There's a place where it can feel not safe to reveal too much, and so revealing ourselves, noticing where there's fear to reveal things, and often like leaning into that is uncomfortable to share is a route to real deeper connection actually. And so I might share something vulnerable with someone, and often when I do that, it's a really connective thing to do. So that revelation of experience is really important.
It seems kind of like a hard thing to explain. Would you be open to sharing what you're feeling right now?
Beautiful. Thanks for the inquiry. Yeah. So this points towards a particular game which is called the noticing game, which is this activity of noticing what's real. And there's an invitation in authentic relating often to slow down so we can really notice. I'm slowing down. There's a few things exploding at the same time, which is often the case. We're having all these different feelings and thoughts which point towards different things. So I'm noticing like an excitement in the question, like noticing gratitude to you asking me the question, because this is pointing towards what I want to convey. And so there's a feeling of excitement, there's a feeling of gratitude, there's a feeling of nervousness or self-judgment, something like that, which is around, not sure what it's around, but it's a feeling that's there right now. And one thing we can do is like notice bodily sensation. So what am I noticing most powerfully in my body right now? I notice I have a sore throat. Doesn't feel so relevant to the emotional state right now. There's like a slight tension in my chest, which is like, oh, what's that saying to me? That's a question I might ask. So I've got a bodily sensation, and if I just like, there's this weird move, which is like ask that sensation what's happening. There's like a nervousness around, not a nervousness. there's just something about being on camera that is shifting, like creating a little bit of tension. There's like a slight lack of like naturalness, and it feels like, oh, how is it to like explore being me in front of the camera? Well, it shifts something about how I'm showing up. And so I noticed that. There's this interesting phenomenon I'm noticing, like I'm communicating to the camera, to a viewer, whoever you are. I don't know who you are, but I'm also here communicating to my friend Brad, holding the camera. And so there's like this double-pronged communication, which feels like, oh, interesting. And I think I'm just learning to navigate that as a person generally, being someone who's starting to make videos. It's like, whoa, this is such an unnatural thing. So this is noticing my experience, naming that, and now an invitation to you, the viewer, or maybe to you, Brad. Let's do it. You want to do it? The question is, Brad, in this game, which is called the noticing game, I start by saying, being with you now, I notice. That's how the game works. You hear, you have an experience now, having heard what I shared. And so, Brad, you can start your share with, being with you now, I notice. Or, being here now, I notice. What do you notice in your experience?
I should have put the camera on a tripod. No, my arms, I'm noticing, they're like starting to get a little tired because I'm holding the camera right now. So I'm a little distracted on like how I'm feeling emotionally, because I'm having a physical stress.
I hear distraction. I'm curious if you pay attention to that feeling of distraction. Do you notice anything else?
It's almost like a loop. Now I'm getting more distracted, almost because I'm in my head about it. I just keep saying, like, now it's just like distraction.
Interesting. Hearing that, I notice I noticed like empathy initially. Oh, Brad's arms are aching. He's like, you're like, there's like, I had this story maybe that's like a bit of anxiety in like that looping feeling. There's also some amusement. It's like, oh yeah, that's kind of funny. And maybe it's like, wow. In the amusement, I think there's a desire to make you more comfortable. It's like, oh, if I, it's very below the surface. It's like laughter feels like it lightens something in me and perhaps in you. So there's like this, say I'm like feeling into where that laughter came from and the sense of amusement. Well, I wasn't laughing out loud, but the sense of amusement. And maybe it's like, it's not such a serious thing that it like can't be laughed at. And so it's just, there's like, just thinking of the phenomenon of like laughing in a teasing way in friendship and how that is like often a source of connection as well. Being with you now, I notice. Do you want to have one more turn? I'm curious if anything arises for you now.
Yeah.
And maybe an invitation to really pay attention to the connection you and I are having right now. And how does that feel for you in this moment?
I feel like I want to take care of my needs of putting the camera on a tripod. But I also don't want to distract from the conversation in the video. I also like don't really want to, I'm noticing like I'm having fun with like this interaction of being behind the camera also. Like I kind of like, I'm thinking about how this is going to edit together, and I like just like hearing my voice and not seeing my face. So like part of it's like I don't really want to be on camera, but like if I put the camera down and put it on tripod, then like maybe Simo will ask me to be on camera.
Oh, oh, interesting. So this whole story about your dynamic with filmmaking, that's super interesting. I wonder if I can pull you in to something like more clearly emotional as well. Like if you notice bodily sensation and like try and notice emotional state. What's the emotional state at the moment?
I'm feeling excited, like energized. I feel like this is a conversation that I like am excited to have because I think it's helpful to get in touch with one's and my like state in the moment. I think that's very like growth oriented, and
Yeah.
I'm excited about having more of these conversations in the future.
Beautiful. Appreciate that. So that I love that share, and this game, in the way I facilitate it at least, I love to pull away from the narrative. So there's a narrative there, which is like the thing you feel about it, what you want from it, and pull into the moment. Like, okay, great. How does that feel in this moment to have that story? And like really try to avoid, this is what I try to do when I facilitate. And I think I have these, and when I say facilitate, I facilitate this in group workshops, but I also have play this game particularly with so many people one-to-one. I always play this game with friends as I develop friendships with them, because it shifts something really meaningfully. It slows down the connection. And as we pull more and more into what's happening right now, we get more and more into nuanced understanding of each other's experience with each other. And so I'm already getting a lot from what you're sharing, which is like the two shares you've given, the sort of looping thing, and then like your story of how this interaction is for you. And that's awesome. And yeah, I also love this thing of just really honing in on present moment, because it allows, the deepening of awareness of like how it is to be with me, and how it is for you to deepen your awareness of how it is for me to be with you, and for us to just build a clearer mental model of our experience of each other together. And that's just, again and again, so powerful. Because often in the beginning with a connection, there's this act of calibration. Is it like this person's got more energy than I can handle, or they're like quieter than I want them to be? And through this game, we can start to explore naming those things in a way that feels mutually collaborative. It's like, oh yeah, I do notice that I kind of really like it when your energy is like this, or I find it challenging when your energy is this way, like you're kind of leaning into my space in a way that feels uncomfortable right now. Cool, thanks for letting me know that. Now I know how to navigate space with you more. And so there's just so much can come out of this way, and it doesn't have to be so strict as I'm pointing to as well. I think starting with structure allows for like an opening up into this realm of introspection of what it is to be with one another. I loved how that whole interaction went.
Right. Is there, but I did I not touch on like the emotional state that I'm in?
You did, yeah.
You
touched on it, and so I don't want to like pull you away from how you answered that. I think how you answered that was great. I think sometimes when I play this game, I really try to just practice a particular element of that way of interacting. I try to stay away from narrative and in present moment emotional physical experience. And so there might be this narrative that like, oh, I'm thinking about this future thing of like how it's going to be to watch the video. That is happening right now, and that's your experience. But also like to get this really nuanced sense of emotional experience, it might be like, what's that like for you to have that narrative and to focus on that element? So when you think about the narrative, is it how does it feel? Is it feeling like scary, excited? I think I heard excitement and like fun and.
Yeah, it feels exciting. It feels like energizing, and like there's momentum, because like looking forward to something.
Yeah. And we can pull into our connection more. And so given we're on this project together, authentic relating is about exploring the connection often. And so like, how is it to think about those emotions in relation to me? And that's a vulnerable question, and this is a vulnerable practice, but it allows, I'm curious, how is it to think about those things in relation to like us?
It feels like those feelings, the excitement, like positive energy, a little scary. For me, any sense of any kind of commitment is a little scary for me, and that's what this is, and that's what Yeah, like it's out of my comfort zone. Yeah, my comfort zone is more to not commit to a lot.
Right.
At the beginning.
Yeah. And so we're exploring this thing, which is like, can we collaborate? And so yeah, when I hear you sharing, being here now with you, hearing that, I feel a lot of gratitude for your vulnerability and like for all that you just shared. That's really, yeah, it feels touching because it's like taking a step into the uncomfortable together to try this thing, which is making this project together. Feel grateful, and like hearing you feeling excited also feels exciting, and I'm also feeling excited that like parts of this video have felt like really in the zone, and I'm sure there'll be like lots of roughness to it because we're just learning. But I'm like, oh yeah, great, we're making our second video now, and if the project feels good, and like we're doing something organically here, which is not what we'd planned, and it feels quite nice. And so yeah, I'm feeling like excited. I'm feeling appreciative of the openness because I think that's like fundamentally important to the collaboration and to any kind of collaboration we have in life, whether it's friendship, relationship, work, connection. This kind of vulnerability, this Brad's naming, it's so useful in the workspace, for example, because then we know where the people, like we're not always 100% in on things, and like just knowing that and like being open to hearing it and open to sharing it, you can then collaboratively navigate forwards in a way where you're like, okay, how's it feeling now? Can we find more harmony? And so hearing this from you, I'm really grateful because it's like, well, that's great. We know where we're at, even more with a more nuanced fine-tooth comb, and we can continue to like be aware of that and care for each other's needs in that way. And so this game could go on for ages. I played this game about many hours with one person at a time sometimes. And sometimes you can just play it for 3 minutes and you don't have to go so deep either. It might be just like, oh, being with you now, I notice I'm feeling warm. And sometimes things open up and sometimes things just stay kind of less deep and intense. And sometimes you get really deep and intense, and it depends where you wanted to go with it. And that's all welcomed in authentic relating. It's like noticing what do you want in terms of depth as well. And so just refining that. How do I want to approach connection right now? Authentic relating is really good for practicing that. Yeah. If you want to have these conversations in your life, this is how I do it. I generally say, hey, I've got this game I like that is like an introspection on our connection. Would you be open to giving it a go? And I find almost everyone's a yes. And maybe sometimes I'll talk about what it is and what the purpose is, like I have in this video, so you should have an understanding of that now. And then there's just this simple structure. Being with you now, I notice. Share what you notice. Then the other person shares, being with you now, I notice. And you can just go back and forth with that prompt, being with you now, I notice, being with you now, I notice, and always really try to retain focus on the present moment, because it's so easy, and as much as this warning is given, it's so easy to fall into story. Oh yeah, this thing happened, that thing happened, this thing is what I'm thinking about. It's really useful to try to pull into the present moment, and so that's just the key prompt I would give. But being with you now, I notice that you may not have subscribed, liked, or rung the notification bell. So check those little things out and leave a comment as well. I'd love that. I'd love to hear what you think about this. This is Road to Connection. You have been beautiful. Thank you for being with us on the journey.